I think people will know. They will know.
Good morning, everyone. The title of this session is AI and CX. So what's after the hype? I'm Mehrnaz Campbell, CEO of Cheemia, and I'm joined here by Carlos Eat, Executive Director of Medical in Novartis, Romika Bhowmick, Head of Digital External Channels at Teva, and Ozgun, Demir, Head of Digital Marketing at Genentech, otherwise known as Roche for us in Europe, right? The title of this discussion is Fishbowl. And what we want to do here is look at use cases of AI. And all these three panelists I have with me here want to talk about real application of it. And before they contribute, I wanted to say all of them are representing their own views, not their own respective companies, so they can speak freely, right? And if you're not familiar with the concept of fishbowl, I just want to explain what that is. We've got 2 empty seats, and we want to encourage, well, actually, there's one here. We want to encourage you to come and contribute, particularly those of you who are working in in-house pharma. We've got 2 seats. So this one is for sharing your positive experiences of AI. And you can either ask a question from the panelists or share and contribute to the discussion. This seat is for those who have a concern or reservation, and they want to come and either ask a question or contribute. So we want your audience participation in this. We can only have maximum of 2 people on stage, so as you come and contribute, I would kindly ask you to leave to make room for other people to come and contribute. And we've got about half an hour to do this. And to make it easier, because it takes time to walk, if you want to contribute, if you walk to that side of the stage, so as soon as the seat comes available, I can just call you to the stage. And towards the end, we're just going to wrap up. I'm going to ask the panelists to communicate the key recommendation, what we're going to do short term, medium term, and long term, right? So while I'm waiting for you to queue up to come and join me on stage to ask the panelists and contribute, let me ask you all a question. What are you doing with AI now? You know, how you're using it. So start with you, Carlos.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So, yeah, I think when we saw the first 2 presentations, there's a lot of applications for AI, but I want to bring it back to reality a bit as to now, what we are doing with AI. So personally, at the personal level, I use AI a lot in a lot of administrative tasks. Right, like if you want to summarize a text, if you want to proofread something, like if you have a certain post, let's say, and you just want to check the grammar, you can do that. We use it in our MS Teams meetings for transcript, for summary of meetings, especially the meetings that we cannot attend sometimes or we miss. And the most valuable use now that we are using AI is in insights management, and also in HCP selection, HCP sentiment. So these are the things that now we see good platforms or good technologies that allow for that. And you kind of have good quality versus other applications that we do see that are going to happen in the future, but there is still a bit of reservations or still a bit that we're going to talk about when it comes to the use of AI in those cases.
Thank you, Carlos. How about you, Romika?
Very inspiring last 2 sessions that we had. It really set the tone, I think, of the event. I would say that it is more induced towards employee productivity, and employee experience has a direct correlation to our customer experience as well. So in the organization, of course, we are now using all the, MS Copilot and employee productivity, even building GPTs to help solve certain business efficiencies, operational efficiencies, which can help employees think more critical, spend more time on value building rather than doing the routine tasks. That being said, of course, we have the creativity aspect that we just saw in the last presentation. And how can we enable personalized engagement with insights-driven all the data that we have sitting across a very scattered landscape. So we are in the very preemptive stages of getting the data right, like we had our fellow panelists earlier speaking about it. to drive the personalized engagement? How do we sort of have the right preference, channel preference, sentiments, profiling to target in the right place, right time, and understand the sentiments? So that's the two aspects I would say that we are really focusing on right now.
Thank you. How about you, Oz?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So personally, I use ChatGPT to tell me, what to say during these panels. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I'm
sure
kidding.
you do. Why not?
I actually did not, which is good. That's why we're here. But professionally, right, I think two things. One, which has been going on for many years, how do we gather insights from all the data sources and then create the next best action from those so that we know when you go to a physician, and I'm in the US, so for patients as well, we know which message is the one that is most likely to resonate. There's another one that is actually, we're going through that. I want to talk about that a little bit. It's about content. Dario mentioned we cannot really get to omnichannel because we cannot produce the amount of content needed, and I completely agree, right? We're building this car, we're upgrading the engine, we're not putting fuel on it, or we're not charging it if it's an EV, right? We're charging it 7% because there's not enough content, and we're wondering why it doesn't go far or it doesn't go fast. With AI, especially Gen AI, you can create 100 times more, 1,000 times more than the amount that you create right now. So why would you not take advantage of creating many more for personalized engagement? I think we all have to align. End goal is not omnichannel. Nobody cares about omnichannel outside of these rooms, right? End goal is a physician needs to know there's a new test available, there's a new product available, there are benefits of a product, which means they need to see messages in a more relevant way, a more personalized way, which means you cannot just create 3 different banner ads and say, I'm done for the year, see you next year, right? So right now we are piloting a Gen AI content creation project or process, which is not about technology at all. It's about a lot of shifts in how you tackle content.
And what do you use for generating content?
So we are in the process of vetting a lot of different, let's say, vendors and partners. But again, technology is a very small piece, right? There's mindset shift, there are roles and responsibility shifts, because we are going to ask marketers to be performance marketers, meaning we're going to ask them to look at results and metrics all the time, go back to the system, change it on the spot, not ask your agency and get something back in 26 weeks.
Okay.
So I'm not going to share the technical solution yet.
Okay.
However, hopefully next year when I come back, I can talk about all the learnings. The only thing I'll say is this, right, and this is one of the pitfalls. You can use a channel or a technology right now. In 6 months, it could change. AI is changing on a daily basis.
It is. So we've got a few people queuing up to come and join us. Nico, come on. What seat are you going to take? The positive one or interpretation and concerns?
Somewhere in between, I guess.
Oh, do you want me to get up? Sit here. That's the
Sit on the
volume.
ground.
Okay, there we go.
Sit on the ground if you want.
So advocating for AI is fine, and like all the examples you shared are pretty much what we hear on the news on a daily basis. Like you can generate more content, you're faster, you're more efficient, you can do admin stuff. My question would be, where's the disruption? Like what do we, where do we use AI to do things totally differently than we used to? What does AI really change in terms of where are new processes and stuff we couldn't do before? What would be your examples or visions on that?
Yeah. So these are work in progress, right? They're not there yet. Some might claim that they are there, but again, you always need to go back to the why. Okay, one thing I've experienced in the 14, 15 years of pharma is that we're like this kid that is taken to the candy store, and then he wants everything, and he gets excited at the first thing that he sees, right? So when omnichannel came in, we started having omnichannel managers, omnichannel directors, head of omnichannel integration system, and then the whole department of omnichannel. And the same thing now with AI. You have the digital AI and the head of AI, and AI should be in every department. You don't have to silo it on its own, right? So first of all, we get so excited. But the important thing is to go back to the why, and why do I need to use AI and how it can help me, and not to focus on, okay, I have AI, I want to put it everywhere. So in terms of processes, drug development, AI is playing a very huge part, but many years ago, not just now. If you look now at, for example, pain, who's medical here? I feel I'm one of the few. Oh, unicorns, great.
A few at the
Let's
back
have a
as
small
well.
group
Yeah.
outside. So another thing is, you don't see a lot of medical in an AI conference, right? Maybe we need more. So MLR process, so that's a pain, and AI could start being used for that. And again, understanding what are the HCP needs, because we're very good in pushing. Like an omni-channel, we kept on pushing, and like guys, omni-channel is also pulling. Pushing is multi-channel. So getting that pull a bit, and getting it from AI could be also a pain that we might be able to solve in terms of the process. These are few things that come to mind, but I'm sure there are many other examples.
So maybe I'll add really quickly, 30 seconds, right? I don't look at it that way. I think that question, like, what are we doing that we cannot, we didn't do before? I think the question is this: what do you need as a business right now, right? It could be something that you're already doing, but you're now doing it faster, or you're doing it more differently. Sometimes it is things that you're not able to do. But I think reverting the question back to what is the opportunity, what is the challenge? And then sometimes you say, AI will fix it, or Justin, my friend, said, sometimes you say, AI doesn't belong here, which is also okay, right? It doesn't have to solve something huge, or it doesn't have to be completely new, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Like rightly you mentioned, it's more like an enabler. We shouldn't, obviously it's a buzzword as well, and a lot of trends are coming in. But how does it best fit your business model, and how do you best utilize it, rather than investing too much of time and energy right away to see that we have to use the technology available. We need to see what problems we are trying to solve for, and that's how, as an organization as well, that's how we approach it, rather than looking at it from a shiny tool or anything that enables on top of all the data that is sitting in. How best can we utilize it, and how best can we enhance the customer experience in this?
Thank you. Does that answer your question? Cool.
Thank you.
Great.
Good seeing you.
Thank you, Nico.
Thanks for coming out.
Cheers. This is an interactive session. Good on you, Nico, for being the first one to come on stage. I really appreciate it. Erasmus, this is a cue for you. You've got a sparring session later on, so I expect you to come and take one of these seats, because Carlos got like a hot seat, so get up and join us here. So could we have the next person joining us? Is that you, Dan? Come on in.
Wait, do you know
Which
everybody?
seat do you want? Which seat do you want?
I don't mind. I'll sit anywhere.
Go on.
Okay. I'll sit
Whatever.
here.
Yeah.
Audience
Thanks.
needs
It's
some
a
coffee.
negative
We could
one,
have the
isn't
next
it?
person to come up as well. So you start. Yeah.
Okay, so I had a bit of a question. I hear a lot about AI potentially being really beneficial. Glad to see we've got medical and commercial representation, because I think it's an important discussion. But I'm thinking, like we're hearing talking about we can make thousands of pieces of content, we can distribute it, next best action, we can send it to the people we know will respond to it. There's like quite a lot of power in our hands at the moment. And I think as an industry that potentially doesn't have the best history in terms of trust, is there not a danger that we could start to expose healthcare professionals who are potentially stressed? They have like not much time, they're overwhelmed with content, and then they're going to have to fight against something which is quite difficult, like what we've seen with social media, for example, where an AI is serving content and information at a time when they're more likely to be vulnerable to it. What are your thoughts on how we could kind of regulate this, and like maybe from a medical versus commercial perspective? If we are giving an AI a directive of improving profits, could that actually present a potential danger of making serving wrong clinical information, and that won't advantage patients, with the benefit of profit? Or should we be looking at a directive of saying, well, even at the expense of profit, we should be recommending the right decision from a clinical perspective? So it's a bit of an ethical debate, I guess, but I'm wondering what you think about that.
Do we have 2 hours to respond?
No, we've got 20 minutes, and we've got a few other people lining up to join.
I'll just take a stab at the initial part of the ethics, and it's we have to be responsible as to how we use AI. I think we will slowly start to build trust with time. It's not going to happen with the short term. In the longer term, we will be able to be more reliant as we do these studies and sort of have more pilots and really engage and build the trust also with the end user as well as with our industry in itself to believe that this is going to work. And that will sort of start bridging the gap, and then you would see in long term we would be able to rely on it more and more, but it's not going to happen overnight. I think that's where time will play the key factor and learnings along the way.
Yeah, great question. So I'll add two things. One is, I don't think we're going to, especially for us, we're not going to let AI just go out there and create content and deploy it, right? We're going to put AI in the middle with humans. So we're not going to say, AI, increase engagement, do whatever you want. It's more like AI will, you're going to have a marketer create something with AI, which, one, you trust the marketer to put out the right thing, but even if you don't, then there's the LMR process. That's one. Secondly, we need to put guardrails in, right? We cannot say, do everything. For example, early thinking from us is, one, you cannot change claims, right? So you cannot say, hey, 75% of your patients now is 81 because it's more engaging and more people will click on it. You cannot touch claims. Secondly, right now we made the decision, we don't want AI to generate patient images, right? We want patients to be real patients. Background you can change because you don't need somebody to take a background of Seattle if you're targeting people in Seattle. But I don't think it's harmful for you to see a background of Seattle when you're a Seattle diehard fan, right? So, but it will let you engage a little bit more because you're going to see yourself in that. So I think the guardrails is one, and then I don't think we should put people out of the loop. People should be in the AI loop for sure.
Yeah. I can give a very quick example from a medical standpoint. Okay, so sometimes we have these data readouts, right? Like at a congress, you have a big data readout, outcome study, and then you have a simultaneous publication. If you think about the time it takes from the publication to have the content approved, and then in the hands of the MSLs, there is always a pain around that. I'm not sure if it's in, I'm sure there are some superheroes out there that maybe do it in 24 hours. Please give me your number. But in other cases, that's really a pain. So imagine you could just take that publication, put it into a system. This system summarizes the data, creates slides. It pushes it to the AI MLR that does the reviews and highlights what are the things. And of course, there's human oversight on every step of the process. And then it pushes it to another AI CRM that gives it to the MSLs and tailors it based on the stakeholders that they see. And it also tags a few things that are the key intelligence questions or key intelligence topics. And then based on the notes the MSL puts, it tags them to those topics and then gives you back feedback on the impact or the sentiment or how the... So that's one very simple thing where it goes from a publication to a full AI integration. But of course, human oversight is one of the key things that is still needed now. Maybe it will not be needed in 5 years from now or 10 years from now, we never know. But human oversight is needed because let's not forget that Gen AI or AI is based on human data, right? So we brought that data. It's not, and sometimes it hallucinates. So you need to ensure, because in pharma, it's not like a Pepsi Cola, content where, it said 50% sugar instead of 45, that's fine. You're treating patients. So 1% or any wrong data, you might be hurting someone, which is why the human oversight is still very important. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you for your contribution.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Dan.
Please come and join us. Sorry, I don't know your name, but you can come and introduce yourself.
Brian.
Make new friends.
All right, yeah.
Hi.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, everyone.
We're not seeing any
You
ladies.
know me, actually.
We need diversity.
I didn't recognize you.
Absolutely.
Lovely
Well,
to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're next? Okay.
Yeah, I believe
Razan.
you kind of just discussed this a little bit, actually, but yeah, I'll play devil's advocate. I don't think it takes anybody here to get hype up for AI and content and personalized engagement. I think we all realize that that is the future and that's happening now. I think I'm more concerned with the bottleneck of the MLR process, which you just touched on. So I think maybe going back to like the people and the processes, how do we get these regulatory teams to get hyped up about using AI for, say, pre-flight of the MLR and the content that's going to go out there? What would be your strategies to go about doing that?
Great question.
Hire-
Over to you, Carlos.
Hire new people.
Or upskill the current ones. I think that's also one thing,
No,
right?
moving away from Carlos.
No, I mean, look, I mean, there is a fact, okay, that we no longer can have resistant dinosaurs in the company, okay? So we do need to have the expertise, but at the same time, people need to have this agility, the transformative mindset or transformative leadership in order to really start adapting into the environmental changes and the need to have things a bit more faster, a bit more accurate, and embracing technology. So people cannot keep being resistant because that will only push and pull the company back. So either you build the capabilities or you try to evolve or try to do some change, or you just get new people on board. I'm sorry.
I think it's, yeah, I wouldn't go that extreme, maybe not to be too controversial, but at the same time, I would say that upskilling and large part of what I initially mentioned is about building that mindset of using and building the employee productivity. And I have seen that, yes, there are certain departments, obviously, they are more front runners of what's coming up, new, trendy, and there will be, you know, areas where people are more into legacy systems and processes, and building them, getting their buy-in is more difficult over time. And I think it is also a little bit on the leadership mindset change, and then bringing it down to the, you know, the teams across to ensure that it is getting adapted, because you need the employee buy-in to actually make sure that they are really wanting to use it. And of course, agility is a very key you know, point. If you're not agile in this day and age, I don't think you will survive any industry for that matter.
So you said it in a softer way. Okay.
A little more politically correct.
So I'll give you very good news very quickly. Our compliance, legal, regulatory, medical are extremely excited about this content generation.
Wow.
I'll tell you why. One, we included them first day. The minute we started thinking about this, we said, let's get in a room, let's get you part of this team. Not, hey, we thought about something, we've been working on it 9 months, do you approve, right? At that moment, of course, they don't. Two, top-down support from all members of the leadership team. Three, we gave them a vision of the world where there is 20x content, 30x content, and we asked them, do you want to review with your high-skilled, high-education background things and look at the comma, does it match here, does it match there, or do you want also AI to help you with that so that you can focus on the more nuanced conversations, the more complex things where you need to come in and really tell us about your legal opinion, your medical opinion. They were sold, day one. And if some people are not going there, I do agree with you. You need to basically say, you know what, you're not going through the change with us, so we need new people. For now, we did not need new people, but
I love that. You know, I'm judging a competition in the UK. It's to do with compliance. And every entry that like wowed me was the one that they did that exactly, involved medical, legal, regulatory at the start of the ideation. And the other one is they brought in the senior leadership and they had the support of them. And then they look to see how they can create something that is approvable and compliant. And they're amazing. So I think what you said was really powerful. Let me ask you something.
Yes.
Are you using AI yourself?
Yeah. I
What
mean,
are you using it for?
from a productivity perspective, I'm using that for writing,
Cool.
sometimes image or video generation. And then I had just started, which I believe some of my former Novo colleagues will be talking about tomorrow, AI and content creation and MLR as well.
Yeah,
So.
fantastic. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank
you.
you.
Cheers, thank you. Erasmus, come on in. Emma, join us as well. We can have two contributors.
Erasmus.
Thank you.
Oh, you're both going to
No pressure.
Just don't fight on
What are you
stage.
gonna go?
What you get by sitting on the first row.
Yay.
So I'm going to sit here, I think. I'm going to argue against digital AI later. So I'm going to sit on the more positive side. But I also think it says real use cases. So I've seen one that I think is really good in our own company and on AI, which was actually AI-generated images, because we used them on Tinder and Grindr for a specific campaign. And we did it because we couldn't buy the stock photos because they don't want to appear on Tinder and Grindr. So we AI-generated them instead. I honestly can't see the difference. So that's a great, and we saved a lot of money, and we avoided some compliance issues as well. So that's the one use case I have, practical. Do you have one as well from your company that's similar or different?
Well, again, I will share, but I cannot share a lot of details, so I'll be a bit flu. So we did use in the past AI for insights, or what we used to call natural language programming, because we used to get a huge load. I'm talking here at a global level. So we used to get a lot of notes from MSLs from across the globe. So you would imagine 400, 500 notes a month at the minimum. And then we had these medical writers who every quarter they take in 1,500 notes and they start running through them and trying to summarize and trying to see what they want. And then you have, of course, a lot of bias because then they will see some notes that they think they are not relevant or because it's human analysis, right? And they have a timeline. So let's say you start in January, you end up having the report somewhere around March or April, so any insight that you had is already dead. Like you didn't action it, or maybe your competitors already did. It's no longer an insight. So what we did is that we had a third party that had this natural language programming capacity, and we used to give it all the data, and then we would get the report like in a week. What really helped us with this natural language programming are two things. First of all is the identification of new topics or new trends. So we would see that, in 4 or 5 countries, we're seeing some topic emerging. Is it something really interesting? And out of this emerging topic, we conducted a sort of an advisory board, and then it led to a publication, and it led to a certain, let's say, consensus guideline change based on the use of a drug in a certain area. The second thing was we used it to check if there is an improvement in terms of sentiment or in terms of topics being discussed. So let's say there is a safety concern. I'm just creating that now. And you create material, then you see the trend over time in terms of the volume on safety. Is it increasing or decreasing? And then you know the impact of whatever you pushed into the market. Is it working or it's not working based on the volume that the AI system or it's not Gen AI, it's the NLP is kind of creating. So that's a real use case that we had, I think I would say 2 years ago. That we use, but I'm sure there are also maybe other.
Yeah, I would take a very generic use case, which is more on building recommendation engines, which we do in terms of very fitting for the generics business, mostly on our side, where you sort of analyze the trends, buying trends over time of the pharmacies, and then you sort of have these patterns of behavior of understanding what can be cross-sold to them or upsold to them, and that's one of these very AI prescriptive models. Second one, on more specific to generative AI, I would say that content generation is where we are sort of now piloting different types of platforms where you can generate content with the sentiment of the brand. So we have these available right now where you can actually have your own tone built into it and sort of helps that journey from creation to actually ending that cycle, closing that gap easily. So I think these two would be more readily, very relevant at the same time. Of course, there are others as well.
I'll talk about one really concrete example from last year where predictive analytics model actually alerted a rep and said, the model believes, right, it's AI, the model believes there's a physician here, this is the physician, where they may have a decision to make because a patient may switch from A to B, or a patient may need to switch from A to another product. Please visit that physician. And that physician was some physician that we did not really visit that much. And the rep said, you know what, I will visit that physician and I will give him this message. And the physician said, I actually had a patient 2 days ago. I was thinking of next steps for him, but the information you gave me actually convinced me that this product is the right product for him. That was a huge business case. Like, this was the first time that physician prescribed a product from us, and now he's a loyal prescriber.
What triggered it?
So that's the real interesting thing, right? We don't know. It's a lot of data. But this is the thing about AI, right? A lot of recommendations, you don't know. But it's the data that you don't see, right? I think in the last session, we have seen an image of AlphaGo. So AlphaGo, Chinese, like old game, really complicated, really complex, and machines could never beat it. They beat it by making a move that everybody said, this is a horrible move, and then it won. And people ask, why did it make that move? We don't know, but it won the game. because it analyzed the data and said, there's something here. And I think this is going to be the world that we live in the future as well.
You know, that's so cool, because experimentation let us find out new things about AI that we didn't know. The fact is, you're using it, you're finding things even by accident.
Yes, by the way, I'm sure there are 100 different cases of go see this physician and there's nothing there, right? Like, we're talking about the positive ones,
Right.
but I'm sure there are other ones
Yes.
where AI didn't get it right. But it will get better and better.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Erasmus.
Thanks,
for
Erasmus.
Thanks,
joining us.
Erasmus.
Have Emma?
Emma, come on.
Do you really know everybody here? That's amazing.
Hi, Emma.
Hi. So I have one comment and one sort of question. So the comment would be, you know, the challenge we face right now is we're all looking for instant gratification. AI is generally delivering that. There is an expectation from our leadership that the AI tool is going to immediately provide benefit and value. So to your point, beyond the buzz, we have to ensure that there is the equal investment in people understanding the value it can create and add to their role. But beyond the buzz, how do we help the organizations prepare for that sort of utopia that we can create with our AI? So we transform customer engagement and we look at additional value we can create in the ecosystem. So things that I sort of dream about are, you know, as an organization or as a group of organizations, we're enabling access to data. AI is being used to sort of access. We don't have to worry about having sort of data sharing agreements or anything, or other people accessing, but you can search and you can understand it, and we can enable that sort of future of a digital twin where a healthcare professional can sit in front of their patient, just as you described, know what the best treatment option would be. So how do we move the organizations sort of using what we're doing right now to get people comfortable with it, but sort of thinking for that future of transformation, of further engagement and enablement?
I think it starts with basic training of AI, because people talk about AI, and a lot of senior people, they don't really know what it is. They don't know how it works. They don't know there are different types. Like, you hear people say, I'm going to use Gen AI for blah, blah. I'm like, you don't use Gen AI for that. That's actually factually incorrect. Basic training, a lot of level setting. What I tell my organization right now is, this is going to be painful. It's going to be frustrating. We're going to pilot many times. We're going to fail many times. It's not going to be perfect. It'll get much better, but just know, it's not going to be like in 6 months everything is working and we're at such an interesting place. However, we have to start right now, because if we don't, we're going to be in the same place 2 years from now. But it's a lot of level setting, a lot of upskilling. I think an understanding and a commitment from senior leadership to say, hey, you know what? I am going to clear my colleagues, I don't know, 5% of time to make space for this, to learn about this. And you need that commitment in written form and verbally and in signed form, because once like things start getting on the ground, you do need that time. You cannot have people saying, I don't have time for this right now, because they'll have to make the time.
Cool. I'm conscious of time. We've got 2 minutes, so let's have a quick roundup of the recommendation from the panel. Carlos, what do you think we should do short term? Stay with us.
So I will include the short term, and I think I mentioned them at the beginning, but also something to respond to Emma within also the short term. I think it's not wrong that we start small, baby steps, okay? Everybody wants to claim that he has AI all over the place and they are the monsters and, you know, the kings of AI. But let's find one single use case, one single thing that would really make an impact in the company. Pilot it, don't spend millions, you know, find a good investment, make a proof that it really answered the problem, it showed impact, and then you get the buy-in of the leadership. But if you come directly with a proposal saying, I want $20 million because I want to transform the whole system into AI, nobody's going to buy it. So short-term things, again, I think focusing on insights, on content, on MLR, on administrative tasks. These are going to really help us free time so we can start thinking about the midterm and the long-term use of AI and the cases that we need.
Brilliant. Romika, medium term, what would you say?
Medium term is to actually start to close the gap between what data we have, you know, empowering with just to understand and put the message across right from the leadership to your teams, right? I mean, it'll also tie to Emma's point. Data is going to be the root of everything, right? If you don't have the right data in place, I think the data taxonomy to the data-driven decision making, we will not be able to utilize Gen AI and personalized use cases. I think the core in the short term is to make the data right, and then you will be able to use with more and more, trust these use cases that you will start to scale with business relevance. And in the long term, I guess, we'll move to you.
You've got 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Process and people re-engineering. Make sure your processes and people are up to task. This is not just about AI or technology.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the panel and all of us to join us. Thank you.